The word pivot has found its way into the language of our culture. We're overusing it, and it's an overworked word. It quite literally means a stick or a pin around which something turns or oscillates. I think we really borrowed it or started using it excessively watching basketball. Stephen Curry made his way down the court and runs into LeBron James, and suddenly he needs to pivot so he could pass the ball to another player on the court. We have all pivoted. We pivot out of a job. We pivot out of a relationship. Some of us even pivot out of a faith relationship or a tradition that we believed in. We need to make a pivot or a turn to get out of something. Pivot is not always a bad thing. In fact, it can be a very good thing. It can be a healthy thing, being willing to pivot, where you're not so stuck in a particular idea or a tradition or culture that you can't change. It's important to find those areas in our life where we can make those changes, where we can make those pivots. One of the areas in our life that seems to be facing our culture as a whole is deep change can be accomplished through shallow solutions. What are the shallow solutions in our culture that continue to rise and surface? I think in the last year, the political culture in which we live has called for deep change, but offered really shallow solutions. When we're thinking about making a change, whether it's a job, a relationship, a faith tradition, or a political position, don't look for shallow solutions. Look for the deep solutions. As Henry David Thoreau once said, for every 1,000 men who chop at the branches of evil, there's one who is chopping at the root of the problem. We need to go after the root, not the branches. We need to pivot toward the root versus the branches in seeking solutions. What are the areas in your life where you need to pivot, where you need to make a change? Do it deeply and not in a shallow way. Find what it takes to really make lasting change. This is Jim Copple for the Legacy Project.